I am back with another great compilation episode this week, and this one is pretty interesting. This is going to be the 5 most popular Delta Safari episodes of all time. It's kind of a neat mix. In fact, 2 of the 5 are Halloween episodes, which is cool because I take a lot of pride in those. They're a lot of fun to do. And then the other 3 will show just how different the subject matter is on Delta Safari. So let's head to the Delta. I'm your host, Stu Donald. Let's head to the Delta. Number 5. Today on Delta Safari, we head deep into the Delta to explore a haunted plantation. It's the legend of Calioca Road. Happy Halloween! I think anyone who was raised around this old Delta has heard the stories of Calioca Road and Crybaby Bridge. Tales of satanic rituals, a ghostly figure in a window, and phantom cries in the night. Tonight, we learn the legend of Calioca Road.
According to AlabamaHauntedHouses.com, there is a genuine haunted house on the Delta. Sometimes called Oak Grove Plantation, it is infamously known as Calioca Plantation. Here's what the site has to say about the legend of Calioca Road and Crybaby Bridge. Located near the intersection of Calioca Road and Oak Grove Road, and named for both, 2 former residents still seem to be lingering at this plantation home. Visitors have reported seeing the apparition of a white woman lighting candles in the windows, as well as that of a 7-foot-tall black man walking along the grounds or even on Calioca Road itself. The woman is believed to have been the wife of the plantation's master, and the man is a slave, rumored by conflicting accounts to have been the lover of either the woman or her husband. In either event, the man was brutally murdered by the jealous spouse, whichever one it may have been, and has been haunting the area ever since. A third version of the story alleges that the man was actually kept as the woman's bodyguard and still remains behind to protect her. There are also some tellings of the story in which the woman gave birth to a child who was quickly drowned in the river. According to those stories, the bridge on Calioca Road is still haunted by the child, and its screams and cries can be heard to this day, making it one of several supposed crybaby bridges in Alabama. So this is it, the famous Crybaby Bridge. Just a couple of weeks from Halloween now. Who knows what we're going to run into tonight? Who knows indeed. Now a few first-hand accounts. Posted July 18th, 2020. So me and some in-laws at the time went and investigated Crybaby Bridge 3 years ago. We heard that if you put baby powder on your hood and walk away, a handprint and a baby's handprint will appear. We were skeptical but gave it a go. We stopped on the bridge, put the baby powder on the hood, and walked away. This car had just been washed and detailed, so no prints were on it, by the way. We took pictures of the creek under it and walked alongside of the bridge, and all of a sudden heard a scream and what sounded like a baby cry. Middle of the summer, and ice-cold chills went straight through us. We stopped and ran back to the car. I started snapping pictures before anyone got close to it, and there were 2 handprints, both baby size, in what looked to be a bigger print where someone or something had tried to grab the hood, but their hand slid sideways. We immediately left, got back home, and I started looking at pictures. Sure enough, when I took the last picture of the car, there was a figure standing right beside it. It scared us all. Posted December 1st, 2019. Thanksgiving night 2019. My boyfriend and I decided to explore the bridge after reading the story. He was using an EMF meter, which was giving off very high readings, and I was using streaming spirit box and recorder. I have used the device in the past with no conclusive results, so imagine my surprise when I got immediate response to several questions and comments. I remarked about the sadness of the tragic story and heard it was violent, very clearly. A few minutes later, I said something about passing along the tale and was told, "I'm used to it." Walking along the bridge, I got a few more unintelligible messages. I stopped the recording to regroup and take a few pictures, but began recording again within a few minutes. Upon asking if there were any more messages to be shared, I was told, "Prepare to leave," which we promptly did. I kept the device recording while we put on our helmets. We were on a motorcycle, and continued to record for a few more minutes. When I reviewed the entire session, I heard, "I died," "not worthy," "bye," and "died out." This was a very active but short investigation. And the final one, posted August 21st, 2017. I have been to this house when it was vacant and abandoned. I did not see anything, but yes, I felt things, like ice-cold air all around my body in the heat of the summer. You can literally feel the energy in the land itself. Strange noises within the house as well. There was also a low-budget film shot there not long ago called Dead Birds. The actors said they heard footsteps following them in the evening. They refused to stay on set any longer than they had to because of all the paranormal activity. I myself have heard multiple versions of the story as described by the website. In it, the former slave is also missing an arm. There's a lumber mill on the plantation site there, so one of the stories goes that he died when his arm was cut off in an accident at the lumber mill, and that's why he still haunts the grounds.
Okay, I've got GhostTube app running. Let's see if we detect anything.
Maybe.
Maybe what?
Cursed.
What's cursed? Is this location cursed?
Stop.
Why should I stop?
Teresa.
Who's Teresa? Okay, this is the Ghost Finder real life radar. Let's turn it on and see what happens. Well, that's what happens.
That's something. What's that? It's getting closer. Practically right on top of me. What is that? What's this one? Here comes back, I guess. It's coming from the opposite direction as before. He's just walking up and down the road here. This little monitor looks like it's picking up something, but I haven't seen anything here tangibly. Yeah, see, what is that? I'm kidding.
Hey Delta, what is Ghost Tube?
Ghost Tube uses your mobile device's actual sensors to detect fluctuations in magnetic energy, select words from the pre-populated data bank, and track audio recordings during your paranormal investigations. Sounds like witchcraft to me, darling.
See how the fog kind of looks like tiny little sprites or fairies? It's very cool. Okay. After parading around these haunted grounds with those two apps, I feel quite confident in saying that both of them are wonderful pieces of entertainment. But I really don't know that there's anything scientific behind them. But I've always had this thought on anything of the paranormal. One day, they may very well prove that ghosts are real. But one thing that is for sure is no one will ever prove that they are not for real. Well, I haven't seen a ghost of any kind. I didn't hear a crying baby. But still got the little tingles going on because I've heard these stories my entire life. Maybe I caught on the wrong night. Maybe none of it's real at all. Doesn't matter. It's just one of the things that makes this Delta great. So I guess, what was that?
Luke the dog here, coming at you, asking you to please remember to click the like and subscribe. Ooh, squirrel! I'll be back.
Number 4.
Okay, now if you'll remember in our last visit to Escataba Hollow Park, we came down through one of these little trails and opened up on a big beautiful beach. Well, this area right here, that's the big beautiful beach.
It's another out of Delta experience as I go bank fishing in West Mobile County.
Well, now that spring is finally here, I'm at a location that I have been dying to go to since I first brought you here last fall when the park opened. That's Escataba Hollow Park. It's a Mobile County run park right on the Alabama-Mississippi state line, with the state line being the Escataba River. I came down here, checked out the park, link down below, a few months ago, and identified this would be my wading creek. And I have been waiting to wade this creek ever since, I guess, November. And today I'm out here, beautiful weather. Spring is everywhere. Dogwoods are in bloom. And in case you don't know it, if dogwoods are in bloom in the south, that means bass and brim are on the bed. So hopefully we can get into some of that. But let's quit yakking and start fishing. Okay, now if you'll remember in our last visit to Escataba Hollow Park, we came down through one of these little trails and opened up on a big beautiful beach. Well, this area right here, that's the big beautiful beach. Apparently the water is way up and that current looks pretty brisk. So I don't know if I'm going to try and wade this today or not. Let's see what happens when I cast this out here. Yeah, that is way too much current. Tree limb floating down the river. I'd be an idiot to try and get out in that. Probably an idiot whether I try and get out in that or not. I'm afraid this is going to be a bit of a lost cause today. Alright, well, let's see if we can't find something that's a little more accessible. GoPro, stop recording. Here's another one. Let's see how this one works out. What we got going on here? Little bit of a beach here. Little bit of a beach. Alrighty. Someone's been sitting there chunking worms out here. Let's see. Oh, look at all the little bait fish down in there. See how warm the water is. Ooh, not very. It sure is beautiful out here, though, I'll tell you that. It'd be nice if I could find an eddy or something where the water is kind of calm. But, I don't know, there's just a whole lot of current going on. I'm kind of swimming against the current, so I'm letting it drift in. Look more like it's a fish struggling to go up current instead of just some idiot trying to cast against the flow of the water. I have grown accustomed to the temperature of the water now. That's something. That didn't take long. Oh yeah. Nice little drop off right off through here. Let's see what I can do, if anything. Fishing today with my Quantum. It's got that 8-pound braid on it, and I'm using inline spinner bait. That's going to make a little ruckus and it's going to pick up some sunlight. See, got a lot of shiny going on. Not want to take a topple in this. It's cold enough to make you regret it. Making sure that any sticks I might see floating in the river to make sure they're not actually snakes. But this is not a big alligator river, so that shouldn't be a concern here. Right here, there's a big drop off right there. I wonder if there's something sitting on the other side waiting on something to come drifting by. That's pretty shallow.
It is important to note that the Escataba is not part of the Mobile-Tensaw River Delta. It is, however, part of the Pascagoula River Delta, which is the closest delta to Mobile, only about probably 35 to 50 miles apart. And it is on the far western end of Mobile County, and the Mobile-Tensaw River Delta is the far eastern part of Mobile County. And from a landmass standpoint, Mobile County is the second largest county in the state of Alabama. For a little context, it is roughly the same amount of land mass as the two Mississippi counties directly to the west of it, Jackson and George County.
It's important that if I'm wading this particular river, to be careful of which bank I stand on. Because this side here is Alabama, but that is Mississippi, and I do not currently have a Mississippi fishing license. So anything I catch, I need to come bring on shore on this side. Okay. Looks like there might be 2.5 foot of beach left here. Problem is, I'm not so sure if I go down that I'll be able to get back up. So I think I'm going to stay up here. I'm not sure there ain't mud down there.
thing's resilient. Show you what I got real quick. Got the inline spinner, little gold fish thing there, treble hook hanging off the end with some shinativity going on. Fish like shinativity. Everybody knows that. Yeah, I am of the mind that this river is too high and too fast for me to have much success today. See if I can't find someplace else to go fishing. Heck, I can't even get the hook on here. Whew. That's all quicksand like right there. I'll tell you this about quicksand. This is an area where you would actually have it. My Saturday morning cartoon regimen as a child left me to believe that quicksand would be a far more common danger than it has turned out to be. And even if I were to run across some, it's not like you bog all the way down and disappear. You go down a foot or two, it would still stink, wouldn't be any fun, but it's not as bad as it looked in the cartoons. Take one last look. This river sure is beautiful. But that current is not conducive to good fishing, or to not floating down a river unintentionally. Let's head out. Heck, that was its own little adventure, wasn't it?
I did not expect this river to be that high and moving that fast. Wow. A little chilly, but I kind of expected that. I mean, we're still early spring. It's March still. But my gosh. So I'm going to pack everything up and see if I can't find someplace else to go that's a little less treacherous.
Well, we're here at Sims Park, right around the corner from my house. Out there is the Admiral Frisbee Golf Course, which is supposed to be one of the nicest ones in the country. I don't really Frisbee golf, but a lot of people do. This place is very popular for the Frisbee golfing. Just like the Escataba, this lake is way, way full. We have had some rain in the past week, and we are the rainiest city in the world. I can see Brim right here. Look at that. Okay. Let's see what happens here, shall we? This pond is the very definition of stressed. It gets a whole lot of fishing, and really not a whole lot of fish in it. But there are some. I have caught about a 3.5 pound bass out of this lake before. It was a while ago. I've hardly caught anything out of it in the last year, year and a half. But it is close to the house when you want to wet a line. And I got piers and bank to fish off of, so I don't have to worry about getting swept away in the current like I did at the Escataba. Alright, let's cast something different. Code Silver from 13 Fishing here. See what we can do with it. Alright, this is that little pond. Well, I don't know, this may just be some kind of stormwater retention pond. Maybe it helps handle overflow from the big one. I don't know, but of late I've had a lot more success here than the other one. It is so muddy. I may have the wrong colors on. We'll see. Alrighty. See if we can get anything from this spot. Skunked. 3 different places, 0 fish, but it's been a beautiful day. I got to spend time out communing with nature, hugging a tree now and then, maybe, you don't know. And I tried a bunch of different ultralight. We've had some atrocious weather here the last couple of days, so things are churned up. You saw that one pond was really cloudy, the other pond was overflowing, the river was twice as high as it normally is, so ain't nothing left to do now but go find a burger. I'll see you on the Delta. Well, I was done fishing for the day, and old Lukenbach here decided he was having cabin fever. I came back up here to Sims Municipal Park, and we're gonna hike a little bit in the woods here. This is the disc golf course I was telling you about. It's won a lot of awards. People come from all over the country to throw frisbees in these woods. What's up, butterfly? Butterfly fluttered by. The cross-country track team for the local high school uses this little park for their training area and for when it's their turn to host a meet. They have carved a nice little 1-mile trail out through these woods for them to run. So if you are the run in the woods kind, it's a good place to do it. Oh yeah, he loves kids.
Where'd your spot? Where'd your spot at?
He's got one. It changes from day to day.
Oh, interesting. Oh, so cute. I've had so many dogs.
Number 3. Tonight on Delta Safari, we look at the mysterious case of the downing of Night Shift 282. Happy Halloween! On October 23, 2002, 54-year-old Thomas Prezois was working for Mid-Atlantic Freight, flying a Cessna Caravan on a nightly cargo run that took him from Mobile to Montgomery and Atlanta. The retired police officer turned pilot departed Mobile Downtown Airport, known locally as Brookley Field, with a 400 or so pound cargo of baseball bats. Prezois informed the tower that he planned to fly at 9,000 feet because, as he put it, the radar's out, referring to the Cessna's weather radar. It was a cloudy night. There was a little bit of precipitation in the area, and visibility was affected. Brookley Field instructed the pilot to climb to 3,000 feet, then turn towards the east. It was then that the tower alerted him to an inbound DC-10 which was flying south at around 4,000 feet. Prezois confirmed, "Roger, I got him above me right now." Seconds later, Prezois' panicked voice cried out,
I needed to deviate. I needed to deviate. I needed to deviate. I needed.
This is the runway at Brookley Field. This is where Night Shift 282 took off from. Someone or something had different plans. The flight took off from there, zip around here, headed out that way across Mobile Bay. And it did not make it very far. 282 was headed to Montgomery and then Atlanta after leaving Mobile, but it only got as far as Spanish Fork, which you can see ahead of you. What happened that night, 21 years later, is still unexplained. Night Shift 282 would have taken off directly in front of us. When he came out, he was heading towards the north, out over the delta here. He was told to go east right about here. And just up that way is Conway Creek. Conway Creek takes you into Big Bateau Bay, which is where the wreckage of Night Shift 282 was ultimately discovered. Although you're not very far from the city, the area where the plane went down is very remote. And the water is said to be anywhere from 6 inches to about 3 feet deep, depending on the tide and recent rainfall. But from where we stand here, we're probably looking at about an hour paddle by kayak, maybe less. 5-10 minutes by motorboat. While all plane crashes, at least in the beginning, are wrapped in an air of mystery, accident investigators for Night Shift 282 will tell you that this crash was even more confounding than most.
According to CNN, here are the most intriguing aspects. Investigators found red streaks, transfer marks they call them, on various pieces of the shredded Cessna pulled from the muck. The red does not match red mailbags or other objects known to be on the plane. Investigators also found a small piece of black anodized aluminum embedded in the skin of the plane. The aluminum is not from the accident airplane. Those facts led National Transportation Safety Board accident investigator Butch Wilson to conclude that the Cessna 208B Caravan collided in flight with an unknown object. The article goes on to say that theories abound. Some believe Night Ship 282 collided with a drug smuggler's plane, the loss of which might go unreported. Some wonder if Night Ship 282 was pelted by a meteor or possibly space junk. Others think it collided with a military drone run amok, or perhaps hit by a missile. Some even suggest the plane was struck by terrorists, perhaps aiming at a larger plane nearby. NTSB officials are not embracing their investigator's statement that Night Ship 282 collided with an unknown object. They say the statement is analytical in nature and does not belong in the factual report. A great deal of the speculation as to what Night Ship 282 collided with falls on the DC-10 that was the other bogey on the radar that night, the one that the tower instructed him to turn east to avoid, which was a DC-10 that was a FedEx delivery plane. There's a FedEx facility at Brookley Field. Now, it would appear that there's no way it collided with the DC-10 because the DC-10 did not have any damage, nor did they report any kind of collision. They actually said that they could see the Cessna from a distance. There were a lot of clouds that night, but there were also gaps in the clouds. If Night Ship 282 truly collided with something in midair, it only makes sense that debris from both vehicles would have been found at the crash site. As I stated before, the water is very shallow there, so there's no way anything could hide or, escape detection. Even though the water is shallow, there is really deep, thick mud underneath, maybe 8 feet deep, and things can get sucked down into it. But with metal detection and the like, it shouldn't elude modern technology. But the only debris found at the crash site was Night Ship 282. The only thing that did not belong to Night Ship 282 were those bizarre red stripes. Now, one other peculiarity about the crash is that the engine was actually split in two completely different pieces. And that's not consistent, they say, with something making contact directly with the water, like a splashdown scenario. Now, they have since revised that initial investigation report a time or two, actually. And in 2006, it was reworded to suggest, but not out and out imply, that there was simply pilot error, that he saw the DC-10 from a distance. There was some kind of visual effect or trick of the eyes that made it look like he was about to collide with it. He panicked, went into a dive, couldn't pull out, and it suggests that's what happened. It also, in that revision, seemed to suggest that they changed their mind about the origin of the red paint, and that all of a sudden, even though several lab tests had said it was unrelated to anything in the plane, they were now attributing it to things that were in the plane at the time. All of that just reeks of the typical government disinformation. But there is one more possible cause for this accident. But it's not one that most people really want to talk about. Was there something else in the skies over the Mobile-Tensaw Delta that night? Something that eludes terrestrial technology. Something that wanted to go undetected. Something that also possessed such power that it could have a collision in midair that totally destroyed a vehicle, yet sustained no damage itself. I just wonder.
Click like and subscribe. That was not a request, Earthling. If men in black suits showed up, you saw nothing. Do you understand? Do you understand? Good.
Number two. Hey Delta, what is a barrier island?
A barrier island is a constantly changing deposit of sand that forms parallel to a coastline. They usually occur in chains, consisting of anything from a few islands to more than a dozen.
Well, I got something a little different for you today. We're not on the Delta, but we are close. We're 5 miles or so south, where the Mobile Bay opens up into the Gulf of Mexico. And it's on a Cedar Point Pier here on Dolphin Island. And we're actually fishing for redfish tonight. So we'll see if we can get some.
Dolphin Island is a barrier island located 3 miles south of the mouth of Mobile Bay in the Gulf of Mexico. The town of Dolphin Island offers an authentic taste of the beautiful Gulf Coast. It is a quaint, small southern town with a strong marine culture, an eclectic mix of locally owned shops and galleries, and laid-back restaurants that serve delicious, locally harvested seafood. You'll also find miles of uncrowded, pristine beaches, excellent fishing, and a historic, storied past. Dolphin Island has been designated as the sunset capital of Alabama. You haven't lived until you've experienced the approaching dusk of day from any point on the island. Just a short drive off I-10, between Biloxi and Mobile, the island welcomes you with views from a 3-mile-long high-rise bridge. This pristine barrier island has long been a beloved destination for visitors and residents alike. Some 1,300 permanent residents inhabit the 14-mile-long island, which is only 1 3/4 miles wide at its widest point.
Yeah, this is a complete separation from what I normally do, isn't it? I'm going to show you the setup that we've got right now. And this is very relaxed. And luckily, I'm here with my brother, and he's got all the equipment for this. So all I had to do was show up. Here, I'll
show you what we got going. That's our setup. His chair, his fishing cart, my chair, and that's our 2 rods there. And that's where we're fishing, y'all.
A very popular and active fishing spot, Cedar Point Pier has long been a favorite of both local Alabama residents and visitors. It has long been considered the welcome mat to Dauphin Island because of its location on Alabama 193 just north of the bridge to Dauphin Island. Cedar Point Pier, first built in the 1950s, was owned by the McRae family from 1986 to 2021. It was purchased by Mobile County in December 2021 using a $2.1 million Gulf of Mexico Energy Security Act grant provided by the Governor's Office. The noble red drum. Originally thought of as a trash fish, it later went on to become a culinary sensation and today is one of the most sought-after sport fish in America. EatAlabamaSeafood.com, an organization that I've worked with for years as a chef, has a wonderful page that discusses the red drum. Here's some of what it says. You'll hear most locals call this species redfish thanks to its rusty tint, and the black spot on its tail is hard to miss. But the real treasure is on the inside. This cousin of the black drum is a firm, succulent fish with mild, sweet flavor that's ideal for blackening. You see, for the longest time, people didn't eat redfish. It has a good deal of fish oil in it, so to some people, it can taste a little too fishy. But in the 80s, a chef in New Orleans, Chef Paul Prudhomme, many people have heard of him, he's world famous. He and his staff came up with a seasoning and cooking technique that they called blackening that allowed you to eat a stronger flavored fish like a redfish and not be overwhelmed by the fish oil. Mainly because you're now being overwhelmed with paprika and cayenne pepper. It turned blackened redfish into such a fad in the 80s that what once was an unused bycatch became endangered. Now there are many regulations on redfish to make sure that we do not lose the population that we have native in the Gulf of Mexico. Large expanses of water like lakes, reservoirs, and bays are often windy, so it is important to remember to stash your trash. Eat Alabama Seafood goes on to say, red drum is one of the more abundant species in the Gulf, so you're likely to find it on your line any time of year. But the ideal time to hook a few redfish is during the winter months when warm weather fish are in lower numbers. To me, one of the most interesting things about a redfish is that it doesn't actually need to live in salt water to survive. It can survive in fresh or salt water. I know here locally, after Hurricane Frederick blew a lot of the Gulf water into freshwater Lake Shelby down in Gulf Shores, Lake Shelby has ever since been a hotspot for redfishing. They have had success stocking it in ponds in the Carolinas and Texas as well. Redfish cannot spawn in fresh water, so those lakes must be restocked from time to time if they want to keep a healthy population. Redfish only need a specific calcium level to be present in the water, so that's why they can live in fresh water or salt water. Another thing that not only myself but lots of people are intrigued by with redfish is that they have an annual migration through the Gulf of Mexico. According to saltstrong.com, the migration is triggered by colder weather in the fall. Since colder weather arrives at different times throughout the U.S., the migration starts at different times in each region. In the Mid-Atlantic region, the spawn typically takes place from September to October, peaking in October. On Florida's East Coast, it takes place from October to November, peaking in November. And then along the Gulf Coast, where I live, from Florida to Texas, it takes place from November to December, typically peaking in late November. This migration route through the Gulf takes the redfish right by Cedar Point Pier here at Dauphin Island. So this is a place that many redfish enthusiasts pilgrimage to each October, and that's why we're here tonight. Just a reminder of why Dauphin Island is called the Sunset Capital of Alabama. You could come down here and never catch a single thing, and it's still worth the trip just for this view. Numero 1. Another top 5 list today is Luke and I give you our top 5 Alabama state parks. Let's head to the Delta, and the beach, and the mountains. Number 5. Let's kick things off with number 5 on my list, Gulf State Park in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Gulf State Park was the very first state park that I ever visited when I was really young. Gulf Shores is only about an hour away from where I grew up, so it was the easiest one for us to make it here. It is different from all the rest of the state parks because it's the beach. Take a look. It's gorgeous. I haven't been to Gulf State Park since 2010, 2011 when I attended an event called Supper on the Sand, linked down below, which was a celebration of the volunteers who helped clean up after the Gulf oil spill. Among the dignitaries that were at that event were local celebrity chef Panini Pete, the governor and the attorney general of the state of Alabama, and this guy named Guy. Number 4 on my list is DeSoto State Park, which is on top of Lookout Mountain. And I just love this park. This waterfall is over 100 feet tall. It's absolutely stunning. There's a hiking trail that takes you to the base of it. There's one that takes you here along this rim of this little canyon. Being on Lookout Mountain, you're not far from Little River Canyon, which is probably my favorite place in all of the state of Alabama. And you're not far from Chattanooga because it's that same Lookout Mountain. Just looking at some of these images of the waterfall in the canyon, you can see why I love DeSoto State Park. Number 3. Historic Blakely State Park encompasses more than 2,000 acres of one of the largest National Register historic sites in the eastern half of the United States. Within the park's grounds are Alabama's largest Civil War battlefield and the sites of the important early Alabama town of Blakely, colonial-era homesteads, and evidence of American Indian habitation from the archaic, woodland, Mississippian, and historic periods. The park is situated in the Mobile-Tensaw Delta, one of the most ecologically diverse sections of Alabama, and it is dedicated to preserving its natural setting as a unique wildlife preserve. The park is the Lower Delta's longest-running boat tour operator and offers regular excursions into what is referred to by many as one of America's most unique natural wonders. Multiple guided cruises explore this stunning natural habitat along with numerous nationally significant historic sites, as well as the modern Port of Mobile, one of the nation's busiest harbors. The park contains over 25 miles of hiking, biking, and horseback riding trails, and offers a variety of special programs throughout the year. It also offers for rent cabins, camping shelters, family and group camping facilities, and RV camping. Day use admission, $5 for adults, $3 for kids ages 6 to 12. Under 6 is free, as are veterans and active duty military. Although Blakely is called a state park, it is not operated by the Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. State funding was suspended during 2011, and the park is now fully funded by private contributions and gate receipts. Number two. Next on the list, Mayer State Park, right on Battleship Parkway, deep in the heart of the Delta. Of all the parks on this list, Mayer Park is the one I have the least amount of experience with. In fact, I only visited for the first time just a few months ago. Link down below. Even though I've only been to this park a few times, and all of them in the last few months, I have absolutely fallen in love with this beautiful little gem right in the heart of the Delta. It's got access to the water via a boat launch or a kayak launch. There's a nice little beach that you can walk along or fish from the bank of, and there are picnic tables. They even have an aviary on site where they have bees making their own honey. I have really come to adore this little park, and I can see me coming back many times in the future to hit the nature walk, which I have yet to venture down, and I'm sure that there is some really great fishing that awaits me in the future. Luke certainly enjoyed this park, and it's got, as I've mentioned many times before, one of the most beautiful RV campgrounds that I have ever seen.
In addition to the 30-something RV sites and over a dozen primitive campsites, there are also 4 cabins on the ground. The park also rents canoes and kayaks. Mayer State Park is also a stop on the Alabama Coastal Birding Trail, so if you like looking at the tweeters, that's a good place to give them a looking.
That right there is another alligator, y'all.
There are showers and restrooms on site available for campers, open 24/7.
Numero 1. Before I give you my number 1, I have 2 honorable mentions I want to bring up. One of them is Lake Point State Park, which is on Lake Eufaula, and the other one is Battleship Memorial Park right here on the Delta. Now my number 1, Amigeaux State Park. Discover the beauty of the highest point in Alabama on an island in the sky. Amigeaux Resort State Park, which is located on the southernmost tip of the Appalachian mountain chain, is the oldest park in Alabama, established in 1933, and is considered by many to be one of the most unique parks in the nation. Amigeaux State Park seems to be far removed from civilization. However, this park is only 30 minutes or so away from several historic downtowns like Oxford, Heflin, Anniston, Talladega, Linville, Munford, and Ashland. They are packed with shopping, dining, cultural arts, and recreational opportunities. Imagine 2,799 acres of granite boulders and wind-warped ancient trees at 2,407 feet above sea level, often above the clouds, and surrounded by 392,567 acres of the Talladega National Forest, including 7,245 acres of Cheehaw Wilderness. Take a swim and cool down in Cheehaw Lake. Surround yourself in its cold mountain water. Relax on the beach and watch the kids have fun in the sun. The park is home to the Cheehaw trailhead of the Pinhoti Trail, which connects with the Appalachian Trail and accesses the Odom Scott Trail and the Chinabee Silent Trail. Rock climbing and rappelling is a unifying activity complete with challenge, commitment, camaraderie, and personal success. A great activity for groups or individuals. Rock climbing and rappelling groups seek the adventure of rock gardens and Pulpit Rock Trail each year. This view from Bald Rock looking out over the Cahaba Valley is one of the most beautiful views in the entire state, and why Cheehaw State Park is my #1 Alabama state park that I've visited.
Luke the dog here coming at you, asking you to please remember to click the like and subscribe. Ooh, squirrel! I'll be back.